Hey, welcome to Plant It Where the Sun Don't Shine, a podcast for people looking for plant ideas that work well in shadier spots of the garden without relying on the much overused hosta. Do I hate hostas? No, not really, but I do like lots of other shade-loving plants and want to share some of them with you so you don't have to just rely on hostas when you're gardening in shadier locations. I'm Dr. Dennis. These are some of my favorites that you can plant where the sun don't shine. Welcome back. On today's episode, Blue-Eyed Mary or Omphalotus verna. Get ready to plant it where the sun don't shine. Okay, Blue-Eyed Mary. Blue-Eyed Mary is a low-growing perennial, so that comes back year after year. Low growing in that it almost could be considered like a living mulch. It's one of those plants that will fill out a space below other plants and do nicely to retain moisture in the soil and to fend off weeds by filling out a space in a way that is like putting down mulch. It produces really beautiful light blue five-petaled flowers that have like a white ringed throat to the flower. The white ring around that throat of the blue flower really stands out, even though the flowers are small, very, very small. Like I'm thinking, trying to remember the exact size, but I'd say probably just like a few centimeters across. The flowers look very similar to a forget-me-not. And in fact, one of the common names, other than Blue-Eyed Mary, is Creeping Forget-Me-Not. So again, tapping into that idea that it's a low-growing, mulchy type serving plant, living mulch type plant, but has that flower that's similar to forget-me-not, but different, distinctly different from a forget-me-not in the way that it grows and the structure of the plant. So dark leaves, you can really notice the veins on the leaves. It has this creeping habit and fills in a space over time. Don't be concerned about that creeping habit as if it's going to be something that's invasive and takes over your space. It's not. It's actually quite easy to contain. So you can just literally dig up with a trowel or your hand and lift out a clump of the plant to remove it from any area that it's not wanted. But really, it's really quite well behaved, even though it does this sort of slow creeping habit. It sends out runners, horizontal stems across the soil, and then those plant themselves down into the soil and create a new little plant along that stem. So very, very easy to contain. It, for me, blooms usually here in 6A, zone 6A, usually late April. So early spring, late April, or even early May. But even though it does most of its flowering then, it will actually produce more flowers throughout the season. So just randomly, it'll send up additional flowers. It is zone hardy to zones 4 through 8, and does really well in a mix of different types of shade. So if you've got a deep shade or a dark shade area where there's like literally no direct light, it's just sort of like ambient light, yeah, it'll do fine there. If you've got a part shade area where it gets like 4 or 5 hours of sunlight, direct sunlight, it'll do fine there. I've had it in sort of both conditions. I had really dry shady spots and it's done really well. It just doesn't creep as quickly. It doesn't spread as quickly. It's a little bit more manageable. But yeah, this is a great plant. So low growing, probably only about 10 centimeters tall in terms of its tallest leaves, setting up those blue flowers, almost like a cerulean blue, really kind of actually a bit lighter than that, with that white ringed throat, dark leaves, creeping habit. It's great. I have had this in gardens for years. I originally got it, didn't even know what it was actually called. Picked it up from someone who was selling plants out of their garden along the roadside, sort of thing, and was thrilled to have found it. I cannot imagine having a shade garden without having Blue-Eyed Mary as part of that garden. I will post some pictures of Blue-Eyed Mary in the Instagram for this show at Plant It Where the Sun Don't Shine, so that you can take a look for yourself. Just indulging me for just a few more seconds on this. When I do say Blue-Eyed Mary is blue, just confirming that I am talking about blue. And I know in the garden world, oftentimes plants are called blue, are referred to as blue, but really they're purple. In this case, this is a blue flower. So you really do have something to look forward to on that front, given that blue is a challenging color and many things are referred to as blue, even though they're not. So encourage you to get out there, find yourself some blue-eyed Mary or Omphalotus verna, and plant it where the sun don't shine. Thanks for listening. Thanks also goes to Sherry Donegan, Jonathan Scott, and of course Ian Jefferson for brainstorming podcast name ideas with me. Credit goes to Sherry on that one. If you have thoughts or ideas you'd like to share, please email me at plantitwherethesundontshine@gmail.com. That's one word without the apostrophe. You can also follow the show on Instagram at plantitwherethesundontshine with Dr. Dennis. Hosting is provided by Spotify for podcasters. Until next time, thanks for listening. Go plant it where the sun don't shine.